Within just hours of being signed, the US-Taliban peace deal has hit its first roadblock, and the man raising objections is the Afghanistan president himself. Ashraf Ghani has refused to free Taliban prisoners. Let's break it down for you. The president of Afghanistan is against freeing thousands of Taliban prisoners ahead of the power-sharing talks next week. He has publicly disagreed with the timetable for a speedy prisoner release, a plan laid out on Saturday during the peace agreement signing. He has also disagreed to some conditions surrounding the starting of the talks between his government and the Taliban. It took just a day's time for the first hitch to surface. This shows the difficulties that lie ahead on the long road to peace. Listen in now to this statement by Ashraf Ghani.
There is no commitment to release 5,000 prisoners. We have repeatedly and transparently shared this issue with Mr. Khalilzad and other officials, as this is the legal and absolute right of the people of Afghanistan.
There is no commitment, he says. This begs the question, why was the Afghan government left out of the talks? That is something that we have been repeatedly pointing out. The accord categorically stated that the US and Taliban will release the combat and political prisoners as a confidence-building measure. 5,000 Taliban prisoners were to be released in exchange for 1,000 Afghan government captives. This was to happen by the 10th of March. Barely a week to go, and the Afghan government wants assurances that those released will not one day stand against it.
There was a request regarding the release of Taliban prisoners, but it can only be a part of negotiations, and it cannot be a precondition for starting the intra-Afghan negotiations. Also, there must be no issue of goodwill, because the Afghan nation must be assured that whoever is going to be released will not stand against it one day.
A request cannot be a precondition, and rightly so. Freeing prisoners is not under the authority of the United States. By all means, the decision lies with the Afghan government, which clearly was not taken into confidence. The US Secretary of State was asked about the Afghan government's refusal. He said, and I'm quoting from his statement, "We will work with all relevant parties to create confidence-building measures. We have always managed to figure our path forward." That is optimistic, but slightly delayed. Confidence building should have been paid a lot more attention to before the deal was signed. The Afghan president has some strong reservations already. So do the women in the country. The issue of women's rights has become a flashpoint once again, and these voices need to be heard.
Personally, within 2 to 3 months, the future of Afghanistan will be in the hands of the Taliban. The Taliban that have suppressed women for years. So how can they give women rights when they believe women should stay at home and that they do not have the right to go out?
Maybe we may not witness any more suicide attacks or explosions in Afghanistan, but instead we may lose the freedom of the Afghan women. And to me, it is more painful to be told that I don't have the right to work because I'm a woman than to be killed in a suicide bombing.